This Apostrophe short video is going to cover the use of the Advanced Permission extension. Apostrophe CMS comes with several permission roles without any extension installed, but these permissions extend to all pages and pieces. The Advanced Permission extension gives you more granular control over permissions to create, modify, archive, and publish pages and pieces on your site. You can easily create groups and then assign users to one or more of those groups. For example, imagine you're running a bustling news website. You've got photographers uploading images, journalists writing articles, editors reviewing content, and a small team managing ads. Each role is crucial, but you don't want everyone to have full access to everything. With advanced permissions, you can let the photographers upload and edit images, but not publish articles. Allow journalists to write or edit their own articles, but not modify others' work. Give editors the power to review and publish all content, and restrict the ad team's access to just the advertising section. And the best part? You can mix and match these permissions for each user. So if you have a senior journalist who also takes photos, you can give them both sets of permissions without making them a full admin. If you've been using Apostrophe CMS without this extension, you will notice there is now a new button in the admin bar. Now, in addition to users, you will have a groups button. The workflow is to first create groups with the desired permissions using the modal open by the groups button, and then add users through the user modal. So let's take a look at groups first. So once that modal opens up, we're going to create a new group. We're going to create a group for the photographers. And you want to be careful with the next control down, admin permissions. This is only if you want that group to be able to create user accounts or new groups. And so usually that's just for admins. So then we want to give them permission for images. We're going to give them create and modify permission. You can see that the publish automatically lit up. That's because images are auto-published. So as soon as you give permission to modify, they're going to have permission to publish. So that's all we're going to give to photographers. Now we're going to make another group, this time for the journalists. And this time we're going to give permission to do anything that they want with their own articles. So by clicking just create and not modify, that user is only going to be able to impact the articles that they create, not those by others. They're not going to be able to publish. And instead, an editor is going to have to be able to do that. So they'll be able to modify their own, just not the works created by other journalists. And then we'll also create an advertiser. So these guys are going to be able to create, modify, archive, and publish any ads. So one quick way we can do that, rather than having to check all the boxes, is we can just toggle this button at the very end. You can do the same thing for rows or columns. We're not going to give page permission, and I'll come back to why that is, but there's a reason for that. Okay, and then I guess finally, just for sake of completeness, we'll add an editor. And in this case, we want them to be able to do pages, ads, articles, images, everything, basically. So again, rather than having to go through and click each of these, even though clicking on the row is pretty quick, we can just hit the toggle all. If you look over here, there's a members tab. We haven't looked at that yet. And if you look right now, it's going to come up with nothing. That's because this isn't where you assign members to a group. You assign that through the users. So we'll come back to this, but now we have all of our groups. So now we're going to go to the users tab, and let's go ahead and add a new user. We'll add a photographer first, Joe Shutter. And then normally we'd add an email and initial password, perhaps, depending on your workflow. But in this case, we're not going to. And then under permissions, we see that we have this groups drop down, and we have this effective permissions matrix. So you can't actually edit this. This gets filled out when you select what group or groups they should belong to. So now you can see, because we select photographers, they can go ahead and create, modify, and publish images. So we're going to save that. We're going to add another user. This time it's going to be a senior staff member and a newsworthy. And so for her permissions, I not only want her to be able to create articles, so give her journalist, but also images. So we're going to also put her in the photographers group. So she has both of these groups, which means that not only can she do all the has all the permission for images, but she can also create articles. And remember, she's only going to be able to see her own articles, and because she's not an editor. Now, final person, we'll create Wally Adman here. He's part of the advertisers group. So we'll just select that group from the list. And that gives them permission for ads. And again, no permission for pages. And that's because we only want advertisers to be able to interact with advertiser pages. If we gave them create, modify, archive, publish permission here, that would mean that they could do things to all pages, not just advertising pages. Let's jump back into the groups really quickly and look at that members tab. So remember, it was empty before. Now we see there's 2 group members that we added through the users. Both Anna and Joe, both are photographers. And you could see there was the extra permission for journalism for journalists for Anna. Okay, so now if we create a page, we're going to create the advertisements page. We'll just give it a quick title. I could spell sometimes. And we'll look at the permissions. So now this tab now allows us to say, okay, we want Wally to be able to modify, archive, publish this page. We want Wally to be able to do things with this page. But that's probably not what we want. What instead we want is we want all advertisers to be able to go ahead and modify and archive and publish this page. And then right now we don't have any subpages, but if we did and we wanted these same permissions to be applied, we could check this box down here. So this is only going to happen when we save right now. So basically, if we now add another add subpage after we save this one, those permissions won't be applied. This is a one-time only thing. So you would have to go in and manually add those permissions. So just to reiterate, by adding the group permission at a per document level, that means that the advertisers can only interact and modify this page. They're not going to be able to interact with and modify any other pages on your site, just this particular page. So that's a way that you can restrict a group to only working with a specific page, since you can't say, okay, we're going to say that this group can only work with this page type. That's not possible currently with advanced permissions. So that in a nutshell is how advanced permissions works. You can give a group permission to edit a particular piece type or all of the pages on your site, or you can go in and on a per document level only allow for a particular group or a particular individual to edit a specific page or even a specific piece for that matter. And in that way, you can get really granular in what different groups or different individuals are allowed to modify on your site. So that allows you to retain a lot of control. This video has just scratched the surface of what you can do with advanced permissions. As a developer, you can create custom permissions, and you can also add per field permissions. Check out the links in the description below to read more about what you can do with advanced permissions.